So check this out. The Pokemon Bronzor and Bronzong, I believe, if I'm pronouncing it right, are actually, it's based on the Japanese folklore of a mirror and a bell. It talks about a priest who wants to melt down a bunch of mirrors for his temple, make one for his, make a giant bell. Well, come to find out, one of the mirrors is cursed and it can't be melted down into a bell. So you found out that that's how these Pokemon had the ability heat proof. And it's also very interesting because that explains why they evolve into each other. Bronzor evolves into Bronzong, and Bronzong, yeah, Bronzong was actually supposed to be from Gen 4, I believe. And it's possible it could have been a little sooner, but I have no proof of that. But yeah, Bronzong was in Gen 4 though, as well as Bronzor. They definitely were interesting Pokemon. One of my favorites when they came out, because it's just like the concept of them, a flying bell that levitates, and it's got its own. It's basically like kind of like a ghost, but it's not. I don't remember if it is a ghost Pokemon. I don't think so, because I don't ever remember it being super effective against Psychic. But yeah, you had to beat it up with like fighting types to take it out fast, or fire types. But I just think it's really cool though, because it just goes to show you like how much different mythology Japan has, Asia has, and they really did a lot of research based on something that eventually converted it into something else, because that would also explain why Bronzong and Bronzor could only be found in specific locations, like whether it was a temple or a cave of some kind. It kind of makes sense. Some of them, like, it really made me realize something else about Pokemon. Like, some Pokemon, they do travel to certain locations. Maybe they weren't originally in that location where you found them, but they just traveled from there. Like certain wildlife, they have what's known as like a territory, and they might be territorial, standing up for like their territory and fighting other people for it, or as well as other animals. And I just think it's really interesting because maybe some other animals, maybe they're originally from like a different location, but they migrated to like other areas, and therefore they got to where they were at. So like we might think, why is this Pokemon in this area? But maybe coincidentally they just traveled as well, or maybe they just stick to a specific habitat. Some of them thrive in like different cultures, but at the same time, some of them actually found themselves in a different location. Kind of like the concept of like Ditto being able to breed with other animals, to the point where maybe Ditto was able to save, like the scientists that originally created Ditto they created them in mass quantities, so that way they could release them in the wild, so that way more Pokemon could breed and it would save like extinct species. That's something else to kind of think about. It's actually really interesting. For science, so Bronzong and Bronzor were actually Pokemon that eventually found themselves, branching out one way or another. I think that's actually pretty cool. So if you didn't know this, I actually learned something new. So again, subscribe if you're not already. I'll make more videos if I do. If you have any requests, let me know. If I find any more information, I will either make a video about it as well, or I'll put some comments in the description so you can see like where I'm getting this information from.